Firstly, I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your schedule to come here today, and to everyone who was involved in helping throughout this tragic event, all of our first responders and all of our community organizers and our volunteers. A big thank you goes out to all of you for all that you've done in the past 2 weeks since the hurricane has come. Bottom line is, folks, that this is no longer a 100-year flood. We can't call it that anymore. We've had 3 floods in 12 years. And each time it happens, it's worse and worse and worse. We've been talking about the Passaic River and the flooding issues for my entire life, and I'm 40 years old. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about the talking. I think it's time that we start doing. But the problem is the local municipality and the state only have so many resources. We can't do it all. We need to turn to the federal government. And I look at it this way. The federal government has spent nearly $1 trillion in stimulus spending over the past 5 years. But I don't know a single solitary, ordinary American citizen who's felt stimulated by any of the money that's been spent. Anybody here feel stimulated? No. I think it's about time, and this is a prime example and a good opportunity for the federal government to show that government can work and should work for the average person, once and for all. Now, we know that there's no silver bullet to solve these problems, but we need to start talking about it, and we need a comprehensive long-term solution. We need the engagement of the EPA. We need the engagement of the Army Corps of Engineers, and we call upon President Obama. If you want to help the average person, let's start by helping American citizens who are afflicted by problems. What, are we going to keep paying these claims every year while people's homes get flooded again and again? Is this going to happen again next week? We are looking at pandemic flooding issues, and the results of which are from years and years of development around the Passaic River Valley. And that's exactly what's been happening. And we're going to address that today. And before I go any further, first of all, I want to introduce those who have come today. Number one on my left, I'd like to introduce Captain Bill Sheehan of the Hackensack Riverkeeper, who, those of you who know him, we all know him, a friend of mine, a man for whom I have the highest and greatest respect, who can speak on the river issues with authority and knowledge. I also, on my right, would like to introduce Commissioner Robert Giangeruso, the Director of Public Safety for the Township of Lyndhurst. We have Assemblyman Gary Schaer of District 36. Thank you for coming. We have our County Executive, Kathe Donovan. Thank you for coming. And District 36 State Senator Paul Sarlo. Thank you, sir, for coming. And to Paul's right, we have Commissioner Tom Giangeruso of the Department of Parks. Tom DiMaggio. The Commissioner of Parks and Recreation for the Township of Lyndhurst. I was in touch last week with the offices of Senator Menendez and Senator Lautenberg, as well as Congressman Rothman. Now, both the House and the Senate are in session this week in Washington, I guess trying to solve our problems. But I was in constant contact and communication with their staff. They've been very helpful. They are going to be hearing us. In fact, I have a statement from Congressman Rothman I'm going to read. This is a quote from Congressman Rothman. "It is clear from the magnitude of the destruction in our district that recovery efforts are beyond the means of state and local budgets. Our neighbors, local communities, and businesses need help to rebuild. The federal government must do everything it can to help those here in Lyndhurst and throughout New Jersey who have been seriously impacted by Hurricane Irene. I am proud that I was able to help secure additional federal funding for Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic counties from FEMA, but the federal government must still provide more support. On Friday, I also sent a letter to President Obama requesting an expedited declaration of a major disaster for the entire state of New Jersey. In the letter, I wrote that declaring a major disaster is essential to the recovery of those who live throughout our state and our affected local governments and the state of New Jersey to respond effectively. We are helping everyone we can in every way that we can. If there is anyone who needs help with the damage caused by Hurricane Irene, please call my Hackensack office at area code 201-646-0808. We are reaching out to new people and helping more families every day. There is still much work to be done, but we must continue to help repair the damage done by Hurricane Irene. Now, that's from Congressman Rothman, and I know him personally. He's always been very helpful, and he will definitely be there to help anyone who has any issues. Now, at this time, I'd like to first ask Senator Sarlo to please come up to the microphone and to make a statement.
Members of the Lyndhurst Commissioners, our county exec, my colleague in the District 36 Assembly, our police chief, first responders, people committee at large, thanks for having me here this morning and giving me an opportunity just to say a few words. First of all, I want to publicly thank the first responders, the Public Works Department, the police, fire, all the volunteers here in Lyndhurst who responded during the time of need, and the effort that they put in, many of them having damage in their own homes and flooding in their own homes, but they were out helping the best they possibly could their neighbors get through this very difficult time. I also want to commend Kathe, Donovan, and the efforts the county did this year, coordinating with all of the town's responses. I thought it went well, and it was a good response by the county. So, to each and every one of you, I don't know what I could say to ease up the grief, the pain, the exhaustion that you have endured over the last few weeks. There's nothing I could say to help ease that. I think what we need to do collectively, regardless of our political affiliation, is make sure that we help you and help you with resources to get your homes, your basements, your life back together. And we cannot allow partisan bickering get in the way. I know I was very upset this morning when I opened up the newspaper and I found out that Congress, certain factions in Congress, blocked the federal disaster relief bill, $8 billion today. That is disturbing to me, because as Americans, and we just went through the 10th anniversary of 9/11, I think what that showed, if we could take anything positive from 9/11, is how America comes together during the time of need and disasters on our homeland. We come together, whether it was the floods in New Orleans, and they didn't respond quickly enough there, but we came together as a country, we put the money necessary. The tornadoes in Joplin, Mississippi, Alabama, and on and on. We here in New Jersey, we put our best foot forward. We made sure the dollars are going there. I'm urging the members of Congress, stop the nonsense. The President has declared this a federal disaster area. Put the appropriation in. They can worry about their spending cuts later. We need the money here. We need the money here on Peabody Lane. We need the money right here to help these people and help these people quickly. So that should be all of our primary focus. That's our number one and primary focus. None of us have the individual power to go to Washington, unfortunately, and tell the members of the Republican-led Congress to get this done. I don't have that ability to do that, but I will do everything I can to continue to urge them. I'm going to urge our governor to urge them. They have to stop the nonsense. The President declared it. Give them the dollars to get to us here in Lyndhurst and these surrounding communities. That's number one. But number two, there has to be a long-term solution. We can't live with this fear that every time the National Hurricane Center puts out one of those little storms out there in the ocean, that we sit for 2 weeks wondering what's going to happen to us here in South Bergen, in Wallington, in Rutherford, in Lyndhurst. And that's something that we are going to, there's no easy solution. There is no easy, I'm a civil engineer. I am a civil engineer. That's what I do for a living, and there's no easy solution. It's major dollars, but water, as you know, is not that easily controlled. It's and there's those who say the only way to solve the problem is buying out properties. We all know that's not feasible. And I'm not talking about down here in Lyndhurst, but up in the Pompton River Basin and those areas up in the north. Certain homes, yes, certain homes where they are just below sea level. Okay, but we need to do better in how we control the dams, the dredging of these rivers, the widening of them north of here. There are measures that could be put in place, and it's going to cost money, but New Jersey is always willing to help out. We send more federal dollars down, and we're always willing to help out the rest of our country. We need our help now. We have to work collectively on a long-term solution to fix this Passaic River Basin. because we can't live through this day in and day out. There will be another storm, and there will be more rain. None of us could here to prevent it. But we all need to work together to find a long-term solution. Number one, let's stop the partisan bickering. Let's get the money here. Let's get your lives back together. Let you go back to work and get your homes fixed, number one. And number two, I pledge to you, I will do everything I can to work with our federal folks to come up with a long-term solution. Thank you for having me. And God bless all of you for what you've gone through.
Thank you, Senator. I'd now like to ask Assemblyman Schaer to please.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you all the commissioners here in Lyndhurst, our county executive, Senator Sarlo. It's a pleasure to be joined by Marlene Caridi, who I'm running with in November for the Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, you have lived these past days, as all of us have. I was just mentioning to one gentleman that I had a total of 10 inches in my basement. He told me he had 9 feet. Quite a bit of a difference. The problem, as we all know, goes on and on and on. And unless we find long-term solutions as well as short-term remedies, we can only look forward to more and more and more of the same. I was disturbed by the action taken yesterday in the Senate, where the Republican minority exercised its filibuster rights and thereby put the $8 billion proposed for FEMA that would be coming here to Rutherford, to Wallington, and our other Bergen communities. And now those funds are on hold. And speaking as a Democrat, I was also pleased to hear that our governor, our Republican governor, said to our congressional and Senate delegation, stop the bickering, stop the nonsense. This is the priority. We'll worry about it later, how the funds come. So in an interest of bipartisanship, whether Republican or Democrat, the water that came into our basements did not ask us our party affiliation. But there must be a solution, and to achieve that solution, we need the bipartisan support of every single Congress member, and we know we have the support now of Senator Menendez and Senator Lautenberg. There is a role for the federal government to play. This is a task much too great for the county of Bergen. It's certainly much too great for each one of the towns and municipalities that comprise this great county. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking as a state legislator, I will tell you it is too big for the state as well. Senator Sarlo just said that New Jersey sends many, many more dollars to Washington than it ever gets back. Indeed, we're one of the lowest recipients for federal aid. And most of us don't mind that too much, because we understand there are parts of this country that need and require federal aid. But ladies and gentlemen, now is our time. Now is our time to ensure that that which occurred just a few days ago, and not too long ago before that, and not too long ago before that, does not reoccur. And the only way that that will happen is with a plan and with the resources to achieve that plan. I commend Commissioner Haggerty. I commend our other commissioners here in Lyndhurst for taking the ball and running with it as they need to do. They are valued and valuable public servants, and you are so lucky to have them here in Lyndhurst. But we must move forward. We must be in contact with our Congress members, whatever their party. We must be in contact to reaffirm to our senators that they're doing the right thing. Our expectation is that something will be done. It is our right as members of Lyndhurst community. It is our right as members of the Bergen community. It is our right as New Jerseyans, and most of all, it is our right as Americans to get this done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assembly. I'm going to call upon our County Executive, Kathe Donovan, to speak now. Thank you, Kathe.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see so many old friends. Unfortunately, not this way, but as you may know, I grew up in Lyndhurst on Stuyvesant Avenue. Unfortunately, I understand my freaking basement flooded every year, so I know the heartache that goes along with throwing out things and just trying to get the water out. I know. Let me tell you a couple practical things, because clearly it's not a county issue, but I can tell you what we've done on the county level to help. Number one, FEMA is up in Bergen County, One Bergen County Plaza. So you know you can apply for FEMA funds either on the phone, you can apply by computer, you can come up and talk to somebody in person. Sometimes you just need to sit and talk to somebody. And the county building is open for this from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So 7 days a week, the FEMA people are there. Come on in. If you need to talk to somebody about your claim or something else, they're there to help you, number one. Number two, we've been able to secure some money for people who have lost their jobs as a result of the flood. So if you're working for someone who lost their business or temporarily can't have their business and therefore you're out of work, we have some money available to hire people who have lost their jobs because of the flood. Keep that in mind. It's not a lot of money. It's, you know, it's not, you're not going to get rich on it, but it is some money available to people. Number three, I'm sure you've all heard the word Bluefields or the phrase Bluefields by now. That's the federal buyout program, and let's be real honest. Some areas of our county, and I've seen this all over the county, they're going to flood. Nothing we do is going to stop the water from coming. Peabody Avenue has always flooded, not as badly as it has now, but we're below sea level here. You know, there's that little marker on Stuyvesant Ave. You go under the railroad trestle, there's a little marker. I used to pass it all the time when I was walking as a kid, and it says sea level. So my house on Stuyvesant, half of it's under sea level. I bet all of Peabody is under sea level. And you go up and look, it's on Stuyvesant Avenue on the train trestle. It's going to flood. And Bluefields is a federal program that buys out homes. And I know that I've talked to a lot of the towns in Bergen County and the homeowners. And, you know, I started as county executive in January. When they flooded in February, March, they said, no, we don't want to buy out. This flood, they said, we're done. We're done. We need to start talking about buyout programs. And we do have to do that here in Lyndhurst. I'm sorry to tell you, but we're going to have to look at that. I have spoken to Congressman Rothman. I've spoken to other people in the federal government and said to them, we need Bluefields money here in Bergen County. I know the governor has authorized some money to be available because it's a joint partnership with the feds and the state to get that. But I think we are absolutely out of our minds if we don't start looking at buyout programs. It's expensive, takes a long time, but how many times you're going to freaking flood? What kind of life is that for you here? Peabody's a great street, but you know, you can't take it anymore. It's ridiculous. And that's, anybody who tells you they're going to dredge the river and clean it up, don't believe them, because it's not going to happen.
Why not?
Why not? It's not going to happen because it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. It's going to take 15, 20 years to get done. Well, you're right. Listen, I agree with you. I think those sound walls are absolute idiocy. Who the heck needs sound walls?
What are they doing down in Newark?
You are not going to get this river dredged.
$85 million. What have they done
Correct.
down there?
But that river is never going to get dredged, and you know what they're going to...
Why not?
Because it's going to take too long, and you're going to be in agony for the 15 or 20 years it's going to take to get it dredged. It is...
There's commerce stuff coming up there.
We can disagree, sir. We can disagree, and I appreciate...
Since '66, there was never a flood till
I've been here
Floyd.
since '55. I understand.
That's right.
It's not going to happen. You are not going to have...
channel no more. Dredge the Passaic River,
Passaic was never a...
Well, there was a dredger, there was a shipping lane, there were barges that went up there all the time, man.
Okay. My name's Kathe, and you can call me that, but let me tell you something. I'm giving you my opinion. You're not going to get the river
Maybe
dredged.
you should fly around and look at the airport with Officer McSweeney. I know you, Kathe. Right?
Yeah, of course you know me. I know you
don't have
too.
a clue about planes, but you're up there with the Port Authority doing it. You don't know what's going on here. You need to dredge.
Okay. Yes, I was proud of my service at the Port Authority too.
I am on message. I'm tired of not having the river dredged. No,
well, let me talk to everybody else. It's not going to get dredged in your lifetime to serve your homes. It's not going to happen. I'd rather spend that money on buying out people's homes and having them have a good life than that kind of thing. I understand his anger, but it's not going to happen. And that's really my message. The last thing I want to say to you, and I know the chief is talking to the gentleman over here now. By the way, your chief was terrific during the storm. We were in contact a lot. And Jimmy O'Connor served you well. His home was flooded on on Kearney Street. He had 4 feet of water in his basement, but he wasn't pumping out the water in his basement. He was helping all of you, and I salute your chief because he did a terrific job. The last thing I'm going to say, and this is a good conversation. Trust me, it's a good conversation. Come find me. You all know where I am up in Hackensack. If there's anything that I can do for you, email me, call me, send me a letter, do whatever you want to do, and I will help you. There's some money for jobs. FEMA is there. Our county facilities will help anybody. We still have people in our shelter up at Bergen Community College who can't go home because their homes were wiped out. Whatever the county can do, help with the DPW, whatever we can do, we do. And I'm not the only one talking, so let everybody do it. I appreciate this gentleman's comments, and it's nice to see you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm spending a lot of money right this moment rehabbing my home. You're talking buyout. What time frame are you talking about?
I don't, it's a federal program, but I will find out the answers for you because I don't run the federal program. I just know that it exists.
Right now, redoing the house.
Well, I would do that. If you're going to be living in it, I would do it. And wait, it's I guess I have the floor now rather than this gentleman, but I would do whatever you need to do to live. The Blue Fields, no, the phrase is Blue Fields program. If you look it up on a computer, you can find out. And I'll get some more information and I'll share it with your commissioners. It's a federal program. I'll share that with you. Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
What about all that construction down under the bridge? Do you know how much water that may come onto the street? And we have other
Yes,
storms.
I do.
This is storm season in spring is going to be coming. I've lived there 41 years, and I've never
Yes,
had
there's a
water
brother
like
for you.
this.
Oh, I know,
What
Kathe.
had happened was as the river was coming along, it hit those Jersey barriers and came right up onto the street.
I know, Kathe. I saw it.
2/3 of the river is completely filled in with stone. We can't deal with this
No,
anymore.
you can't. I agree. But well, it's two different things, and I already talked about the judging, so I won't keep beating it to death. But the thing on what, Kathe?
What they've been doing is they'll be there working. We won't see them for 2 or 3 months. They have not been under there, but yet the river is impeded to the point that it's dangerous because right now, if you go down there low tide, which never was before this construction, it was down at normal levels. Now with this stone, I mean, it's 2/3 of the river is completely closed in. We have one channel open. The water is so high, even now at low tide, because of the stone. This cannot continue. They either need to finish the bridge and get it over with and clean this out, not go away for 2 months and work up in God knows where, and then come back for a couple days and then disappear again.
I'll talk to the Commissioner of Transportation. I saw him yesterday. I will talk to him again. I'll call him tomorrow and tell him to get it done.
Here's the day of the flood. Every half
I
an
saw
hour
it, Kathe.
they were going down there because they were getting nervous, but it didn't help us any.
I know.
I mean,
I saw
our
it.
houses were first floor.
Right. I know.
I've been there, as I said, 41 years.
Yep.
Never, ever got water like I got this time. We lost everything.
I know. And that was repeated throughout the county, which doesn't give you any comfort, but trust me, it was every single town.
Absolutely.
Every water we had in Bergen County.
Rutherford got water that they never saw because the river was backed up. There was no place for this water to go. So of course it came up on the streets. And the fact that this is something that can be remedied is important.
It can.
But
It
they're
can.
not willing to do any work. They left lumber and all kinds of debris the day of the storm. They knew it was coming. We had the outhouse floating down the street. We had lumber that was unbelievable. Knocked my neighbor's garage completely out almost, all her fencing, because there was huge 4x4s floating down our street.
Kathe, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. After this is over, if you could either write or email me everything, I'm going to call the
I have
Commissioner of
pictures.
Transportation. Okay, pictures
I have
and
pictures of
script.
the flood coming over and
Good.
after.
I'm going to call State of New Jersey this afternoon and tell them.
Okay, good. Thank
If you give that to me, Kathe, I will do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We are going to address that.
My son was here 3 times to help me bail out, and he said this last time, he said, this smells different. He said, my eyes
I had
hurt,
complete
I'm choking,
sewage back up
mouth
in my
is
basement.
swelling.
Yeah, they did up on Court Ave, too.
It's really different this time.
Yep.
get dizzy and feel sick, half sick. I mean, it's frightening, you know, and we're thinking we're raising our children here, we're trying to live here on a daily basis. What's underneath our floor? All the mold growing, you know, we're all trying to rip that up and see that, but mold grows rampant everywhere. You don't get every speck, you know.
That's
So
correct.
we're very, very fearful, so we are now going to become a cancer.
I'll say,
with FEMA at my house next door for 2.5 hours on Friday. By the time I left, I had bread crumbs all over my body because I had to be in that house. You can't be in there more than 10 minutes.
I agree. I know the Riverkeeper is going to talk about it, and I'll talk to your commissioners, but certainly we have, the health department in the county can be helpful to you, and if all they have to do is call us, and I'll get people down here to check on it.
They haven't funded me. I'm just bringing the information.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Definitely, people have been coming to my house and looking and checking, so I'm not complaining, I'm just stating facts.
And I agree, and I thank you. And if somebody lets me know, all they do is a phone call, and we'll get people down here to check on that again. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. We want to address more questions, of course. I want to give everyone an opportunity first to speak. And I'd like to call upon Commissioner Robert Giangeruso of the Department of Public Safety in the township.
Thank you all for coming. It's not only over here that got flooded, Page Avenue, Riverside Avenue, Chauncey Avenue. It's a mess. But before I start my speech, I want to call up Chief O'Connor, who coordinated this. Jim? And Donna Artizone. Jamie Artizone. Donna's her mom. Jamie was in charge of the flood fund. And she did a great job along with Chief O'Connor. Now I'll start my speech. And this one, I'm sure you're going to want to hear this. Something must be done. These people cannot live through another one of these disasters. The river must be dredged. These unfortunate victims have lost their precious belongings, sentimental items, and their homes to Hurricane Irene. This horrific event cannot occur again. My regrets to all these people that lost so much during this event. The town has been wonderful during this time, providing the residents with cleaning supplies, daily garbage pickup, dumpsters, tetanus shots, food vouchers, and a special thanks to the DPW, Health Department, Police Department, Fire Department, EMT, CERT, Parks Department, Chief O'Connor, and Mayor DeLashio. And for all of the residents for coming together and cooperating with us. As a person who has grown up in this town, they came here in 65, 55, I came here in 47. My grandfather came to Lyndhurst in 1910, and we never seen anything like this in the last 12 years. The river has to be dredged.
Yes. That's your answer, Bobby.
It is about somewhat time that someone takes the bull by the horns and gets something here to help people along the riverbanks of the Passaic River. Our mayor and board of commissioners have been trying to do their best deal with broken sewer lines, water pipes that are over 100 years old, that have never been addressed. We are currently working on these projects along Riverside Avenue as we speak. The Board of Commissioners would like to correct the low-flowing floodplain. These people can't live through this again. Chief O'Connor and I were out here through numerous days and nights. We witnessed this disaster daily and devastation it has caused for our Lyndhurst families. If the river is dredged, there is a possibility this flood will never, ever happen again. We are going to rectify this problem. It is about time something is done. Thank you for your cooperation and patience during this difficult time. Again, we will address these issues to our state senators and congressmen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bobby.
Senator Sarlo?
Yeah.
Where is he? Oh. Government in action.
Yeah, I know. I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Giangeruso said, is the long-term solution has to be a dredging of that Passaic River upstream of here. It's got that is the long-term solution and how they control the water upstream. That is the thing we can settle for. And I understand about these buyout program, but I know somebody firsthand in Pompton Lakes who was just bought out of their home in Pompton Lakes. Their first floor was below sea level, so they flooded on, I a drop of rain, they reached the flood. And their house was valued at pretty much nothing. They got very little dollars. So the buyout program, in my opinion, doesn't work. It doesn't really work, except for those homes that are so low and that are below sea level. We need to find a long-term solution, folks. It's a federal, but we are not going to stop. We're going to continue to work with each and every one of you. But please, what we can do right now is help you to rebuild your basement, your homes, get rid of the mold, whatever we need to do, whether it's this county, state, federal, whatever it needs to be done, that's what we need to do primarily.
Senator Sarlo, we need our shipping lane back, so all the way down to North Bay. The shipping lane, not just north of the sir. Bring back the shipping lane and maintain it like they did.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now bring up to the microphone Captain Bill Sheehan, the Hackensack Riverkeeper, and who has actually spent his life and his career studying issues such as this, and he has a great deal of knowledge, and he has some words to say, and we're honored, and I'm honored that he had taken the time out of his schedule to come here today. So I'd like to invite him up.
Well, I just want to say, first and foremost, to the people of Lyndhurst, you have a really great guy right here, in Commissioner Haggerty. Everybody up here coming out to help and support you in your time of need. I don't know what's going on here. It must be all the gold or something. But you know, I want to address some of the stuff that's been talked about here this morning. The first thing I want to address is the question that comes up invariably whenever the Passaic River goes on a rampage. People start calling for dredging of the river as though that's going to really solve your problems. The truth is, the lower Passaic River, from the Dundee Dam in Clifton, several miles north of here on the river, all the way to Newark Bay, is a Superfund site. The ability to dredge that river was taken away from you, it was taken away from the state of New Jersey, and it was taken away from the federal government by the Occidental Chemical and Petroleum Company when they put dioxin into that river back in the 1960s. When that dioxin is one of the deadliest synthetic poisons ever created, and it's in court right now. Yesterday, there was a ruling that the Tierra Solutions people that have been marching around the towns of the Passaic Valley saying how the taxpayers should pay for cleaning this up, they were held jointly and severally liable along with Occidental Petroleum to clean up that dioxin. So before we could have a conversation about bringing shipping lanes back to the river, we need to get the poison out of the river, and we need to dispose of it properly and safely. That's number one. The other thing is to address the woman's concern about what was coming into her home with the floodwaters. There's a good chance, and I don't want to scare anybody, but there's a good chance that that dioxin was in the floodwater. Not only that, but also raw sewage, bacteria associated with raw sewage, and anything else that fell into the river between the Great Swamp and here, there's a good chance that it wound up in your living room or in your basement. And having these places cleaned environmentally, not just aesthetically to make them livable, but environmentally to make sure that you, your children, your grandchildren are not going to be exposed to any of those poisons, that's what you need to be thinking about. I know it's expensive, but if you're going to stay, that's what you got to do. Now, as far as the buyout program is concerned, it's a very, very difficult decision for any homeowner to make, to say, I'm done, I'm going to throw in the towel, I'm going to move from my family's home, and we're going to sell it so that it can be raised. That's an extremely difficult decision, one that I hope I'll never have to make. However, there are other ways to tame the Passaic River that can be considered, and one of them is to curtail any future development on riverfront property up and down the river. One of the reasons why the Passaic goes on a rampage all the time, if you go down to the river and you take a boat ride down the river, you'll see that both sides of the river are completely bulkheaded. When you bulkhead a river the way the Passaic River is, all the way from here to the Newark Bay, is bulkheaded, it makes the water move faster. It makes the water have more violence, and it makes the water go where it feels like going. And no matter how many engineering principles, due deference to the engineers in the audience, but no matter how many engineering schemes come along, you're never going to be able to do it. The Army Corps of Engineers in Louisiana built flood walls 30 feet high, and invested billions of dollars in your money, taxpayers' money, and guess what happened when Katrina came along, folks? Those walls fell down, the water came through, and everybody saw it on television, everybody saw the aftermath. Right here in this watershed, in the Passaic River watershed, in Patterson, just upriver, they actually have homes that they're using the same boxes on the outside of the house with the X's and the numbers in the boxes where they're finding bodies, when they go through these homes that were ravaged by the floodwaters, they're actually using the same horrible tags that they were putting on the houses in New Orleans. I was in New Orleans shortly after Katrina, and I saw those tags on those homes, and it was really a heart-wrenching experience to know that there were people going through those homes after the floodwater subsided, and that their mission was to go look for people's bodies, you know. And we don't want that here on Peabody Avenue. We don't want that in Lyndhurst. We don't want that anywhere in New Jersey. And we need to get the federal government involved. Commissioner Haggerty is right on. He's spot on when he says that the United States is that kind of a country. When we have a disaster, when we have an issue like this that comes along, the United States government is there to help you. All you need to do is make sure they know that you want their help, you need their help, and then if they don't give it to you, scream like hell until they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And that's exactly why we're doing this today. We want to scream a little louder, we want to yell a lot longer to get the attention of the federal government, who has the resources to address these issues. This isn't so, I'm not an authority on this. I don't know how to solve this problem, but it's also not my responsibility. My responsibility, Commissioner Giangeruso and Commissioner DiMaggio's responsibility, is to the residents, is to speak up for the residents, to say, hey, federal government, help us. Get something accomplished. Figure something out, whatever that may be. But let's stop talking about it and let's start doing it. So, again, at this time, I think if Congressman Rothman, I told him that I would take any specific questions, and again, I handed out his phone number. He's always been extremely helpful in helping people. Right now, if any of you have specific issues with FEMA or need any specific needs addressed, please call his office. I also told his staff I would take a list of questions today from the audience and then report back to them afterward so that he has a chance to review them and then possibly be able to find some answers to those questions. Again, there's no silver bullet here. There's no magic solution that we can wave a magic wand, but let's at least start the conversation about it. Any specific questions? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Haggerty, Marty Worrell, Clark Ave. 3 months ago, I was in front of you and Mayor the last year when I said we need to dredge the river. We no longer have a shipping lane. We went from a 10-inch pipe to a 2-inch pipe. This is going to keep happening. All right? And so I'm not psychic. You know, this is way before anybody even heard of Irene. Steve Olin was there with me. And, you know, the Mayor the last year said the EPA won't let you touch it because of the dioxins. What's the difference? Bill just said you already got the dioxins in your house, in your mouth. So dredge it out. I know you're an environmentalist, Bill, but you know what? You don't live here. Okay? I don't know where you live, but you don't live here. And I'm telling you right now, they need to dredge it. There's new techniques where they can send rods down into the muck, and they hit it with electricity, and it solidifies it, which makes it less tight, you know, spillage when they dredge it. There's techniques that they can do. Costly, yes, but they can do it. They need to bring back the shipping lane and maintain the shipping lane. Because if you dredge it once and let it go, 20 years from now, the silt comes down and stays there, fills back the tube up. I got the answer. I'm not a genie. I'm just a man, a carpenter. But I tell you right now, there's the solution, folks. Dredge the river and keep the shipping lane open. Because if you don't, we're going to be standing back here, or if the buyout program, you'd puke what they're going to offer you. I'm just telling you right now, you tell them to go to hell. What they're going to offer you for your house here. Here's 35 grand. Good night.
Well, that's
there's the solution. There's only one answer, ladies and gentlemen, and that's it. And Bill, I know you're an environmentalist, and you do good work in the Hackensack. You're the Hackensack Riverkeeper. You're not the Passaic Riverkeeper, sir. You don't live nowhere near here.
First of all.
I'm sorry. No, Brian, I'm sorry. I'm not stopping no more. This is the solution. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Tell everybody, the senator, your congressman, write them. Dredge the Passaic River and keep the shipping lane open like they used to when the Irene barges up here. They're dredging Newark Bay right now, and don't tell me the dioxins aren't down there, Bill, because they moved down there too. But there's money down there. There's no longer a commerce up here. Excuse me, I have the floor, Jim. I have the floor, Jim. I have the floor, Jim. Thank you, ma'am. Dredge it and keep the shipping lane. When we had a shipping lane, we had a little bit of floods, nothing before Floyd. That's what's going to save us. Bottom line, folks, thank you. You too, Jim. It's going to save your property too, Jim.
One thing,
I'm not saying you ain't there.
you know, one aspect of this equation that hasn't been mentioned and needs to be mentioned is the fact that 30 years ago, when there was constant barge traffic on the Passaic River, the floodplains of the Passaic River up in North Jersey were not built on. There was areas upriver that could store water during storm events, and that water would then trickle slowly down the river and go out to sea where it belongs. Today, those floodplains upriver in places like Wayne, in places like Pompton Plains, in places all throughout the upper Passaic watershed have been developed. And the water just shoots off of those properties now. Instead of being absorbed by the wetlands, instead of being absorbed by the forests and the fields, that water just comes rocketing into the river, comes rocketing over the falls and rocketing down the river. And that's one of the main reasons why you have the flooding that you're having. The coincidence of having a shipping lane and having an undeveloped floodplain north of it is what protected this area in the past. We're not going to be able to do away with all of the development in the upper watershed, and digging a deeper hole in the Passaic River just to let more water come down is not going to be the solution. Deeper holes let the water move faster, they give it more velocity, and they give it more destructive power when it does encounter something that we built, something that is inhabited. I'd rather deal with a quietly running river than a raging torrent, which is what this river can become.
You don't have to deal with it being in your basement. And I'm sorry. No, I have one other thing to say. Maybe we can get to our congressman and get this on the ballot and you vote for it.
Well, either way, what we do...
Chemicals in there, that's coming into our houses. I got a 6-year-old daughter. What kind of adverse effects that can have her when she's 40 or 50 years old?
Exactly.
Well, it's exactly what he's saying. No, I mean, he's not denying the fact that that's the reality, but what he's telling you is the reality.
Cancer and not having a life and not being able to have children because that stuff's coming out of that river.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a park right now that's still flooded, so I'm sure those chemicals and toxins are there as well.
I saw that this morning when I went
I'm
by
sure
the
that whole
park.
park. We have daycare there, we have all our softball field and baseball field.
Everything.
I mean, I'm sure what we're standing on, which was submerged, has toxins.
I know.
Is it? It should have been tested like a week ago. This was the
Well, we
worst
did start some
disaster.
testing. We did some testing in the neighborhood. We had chemicals inspectors out here immediately. But again, we need to get further answers. We have to test for as many chemicals as possible. We need the assistance, once again, as I say, of the federal government.
Well, I think we have so many elected officials here at a higher level. We need one of them to initiate the plan. I know we need the plan. They're saying it. But which one of these higher elected officials will take it up to the federal government? They're not going to listen to us.
No.
The people voted for them. They are our connection to the federal government.
Exactly.
So
The job of, let's say, you have your municipal representatives, you have your state assembly and state senate, you have your county. If we all yell loudly and loud enough and together, we can get the attention of the federal government. That's why we're doing this. That's what has to happen. Yes, Assemblyman.
Right, let me just add, I was just speaking to one gentleman who had a wonderful idea.
Would you like to come up to the microphone? This way it's on, we're recording as well.
I don't know about a press conference, but this has been an enlightening and a very helpful conversation that we've all had. One gentleman said to me just a few minutes ago, you know, it's wonderful that FEMA's in Hackensack, but we live here in Lyndhurst. And I've been hearing that in Wallington and Rutherford and our other affected communities here in District 36. We're going to be communicating today with our Congress members, Congressman Rothman, as well as our senators and FEMA as well, asking them to bring the office right here to Lyndhurst for a few hours a week at least. You shouldn't have to travel to Hackensack. The problem's right here. Let's get it done right here and let the people understand what exactly is going on. Absolutely.
In fact, I just said to the Assemblyman, great idea. We, in fact, will put the office right in the health center where we've been using that as a makeshift anything during out this entire tragedy. Are there any specific questions or any? Yes, ma'am. Well, we hope to have a lot more meetings. I mean, the reason we did this, we had to wait till after the 9/11 ceremonies, number one. And number two, we wanted to do something just to start some kind of organization and make this be a springboard to move forward so that this doesn't stop this time. Of course, we'll always make notifications. In fact, from this point forward, we hope to see that our congressman, which I know Congressman Rothman will be taking action, as well as Senators Lautenberg and Menendez. So those are the people whose help we need, and ultimately it comes down to Washington, the president himself. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir. Do you know much about what I know about the Bluefield program in the state of New Jersey? There's certainly not enough money there. There's only about $31 million, I believe, but Bill, you may know more. Yeah.
Bluefields is actually part of, in New Jersey anyway, Bluefields is actually part of the Green Acres program, and unfortunately it's one of the least funded parts of the Green Acres program. Every time that the state has appropriated money for Blue Acres, the lines to actually apply for that money have been out the door. People, they've been out the door. In other words, so many people were standing in line trying to get that money that they've always run out of money before they ran out of properties to buy. Okay? What the county executive was asking for and calling for was federal infusion of dollars to beef up that Bluefields program here in New Jersey, so that the next time we have a group of citizens that say, I've had enough, I want to get away from danger, I want to take my family out of harm's way, that they're not met by a bureaucrat saying, sorry, we just ran out of money.
And if I may, sir, I agree with you. Personally, I agree with you. Both Congressman Scott Garrett in the north and Steve Rothman, I've spoken to both of them, and they are very aware that we need to do more with Bluefields. And they are, we've had 3 or 4 conversations about getting money for that, and Governor Christie is aware of it as well. I think you're going to see more about it, but if you see me later, I'll give you my email, and you can send me, and I'll get you the information. It comes to the Congress, but I'll get it for you. Thanks.
Can I say something, please? There's another issue that really should be addressed, and that's our collective mental health. Going through the trauma that we just went through, nobody expected our homes to have 4 feet of water on their first floor. That's my home there. Totally destroyed. I had 4 feet of water on my first floor. I have 7 feet in my basement. Okay? I lost everything. I watched almost $40,000 worth of furniture being put into dumpsters. That was everything I worked for. I am traumatized. I know we are all traumatized. Is there any way that there could be counselors put on site here that we could speak with?
County executive is just telling me that absolutely they do, and just let them know and they will send them down. Yes.
Sorry, we have mental health counselors we'd be glad to send down from the county. If one of the commissioners just lets us know where and when, I will have people available. Yeah. No, they'll come to you. Yes. That's what I'm saying. They may set up in the health center or the town, maybe not here on Peabody, but someplace in Lyndhurst, absolutely. All they do is that somebody has to let me know, and we will get people down here, ma'am. It's a very good idea. Oh, yeah? Very good idea.
And the other thing is, I'm like, are you going to dredge? Are we going to get our houses bought? What do we do? Like, I'm more confused now than I was before. I don't know what to do. Do I buy outdoor furniture and put it in my house? Do I buy a hammock for my bedroom because I don't want to lose another $10,000 bedroom set? What do I do? I don't know what to do.
The answer is a couple of different levels, and everybody's got to have their own answer. And I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I will tell you as county executive, I will get information to your commissioners and they will get it to you, and then you make your decisions on what you're going to do. I can't tell you what to do, and I know what you're saying, but I can certainly give you the options that I have, and I will tell you all of those.
It would be nicer to, at some point in the near future, have a timeline as to what can be done, because again, like people have said, there's going to be another Irene, there's going to be another Northeaster, there's going to be something else coming at us.
Yes.
And we have no control. And it affects not only us, but our families lose those days from work, our families.
Yep.
You know, it's
Yes.
not just the person in the house.
I agree with you, ma'am, totally. And the answer is, it's a federal program, but I'll get the answers. I will absolutely. Right.
There was void, and we were thinking we were fine, and we haven't built the house a year yet. We lost everything.
And the flood maps are federal flood maps. And I don't know that answer. We'll find out for you. I don't know that answer.
You guys need to scream for us.
Oh, I am. Ma'am?
We don't have the strength anymore.
There's 70 municipalities. Trust me when I tell you. I've done almost nothing but flood because that's the important thing right now. In just about every municipality in Bergen County, and I will. I'm shy, I'm not. I hear you. I agree. I understand. Yes, ma'am.
How is this affecting our taxes now, being that we are getting no help? We are still going to be hit with higher taxes, but not getting any help.
You're talking about from a municipal standpoint?
Yes.
Well, the collection of that's an excellent point. What are the homes worth that have been flooded? Who's going to buy them? A home is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So that's an excellent point that we have to address as a township, and we will talk about that. I mean, I can't give you an answer right now, but I don't see why we shouldn't and can't do something about that and work with our... Well, it has nothing to do with the amount of the budget. It has everything to do with the value and the assessment on your home. That's what determines your tax.
We have to be reassessed.
You'd have to be reassessed. That's why I'm saying, that's why this is such a serious issue with so many ramifications, all of which have to be addressed from so many levels. There are those issues such as that we deal with on the municipal level, and then that, of course, affects the entire township. That affects everybody, because we all share in that. And then we have our county issues, our state issues, but the biggest issue is the issue itself, which is the flooding. And that's the federal government's responsibility and the only one who can come forward to help us solve that problem. But it's not going to happen overnight, and there is no silver bullet. But as I say, we need to yell and scream as much as possible. That seems to be the only way you get attention. And what personally annoys me is the fact that we've seen nearly $1 trillion in stimulus spending, and I've never seen one average person be the recipient of a single stimulus dollar. Not a single one.
Can I say something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
You're all talking about FEMA, but all of us that have insurance are getting nothing from FEMA.
Right.
So what good? Even if you fight for the FEMA money, they're not going to give it to us.
Did your premiums just go up as the storm was coming up the coast?
One thing that was just brought to my attention, I appreciate it. If you have a need for food stamps, the county has sent people down to your health department. Please apply for food stamps. Don't be embarrassed. That's why they have the program. So if there's a need for that, you can apply. The county has done that. You can apply here in town for that. Just keep it in mind if somebody needs that.
I don't know if anybody had an inspection by FEMA, but they came to my house, and it was like a joke. They measured my rooms, they asked how many air conditioners I had, how many vacuum cleaners I had in my house, how many TVs I had in my house, and how many wall outlets were out throughout my house. I don't understand. They didn't say, what kind of damage did you have? What did you lose? I think that's more important than asking me how many air conditioners or TVs I had.
Kath, maybe yeah, there's reasons for it, and they're very, they do this for a living, so they see tragedy every single day. You may want to ask your commissioners to have somebody from FEMA come down and explain it to you. They're up in Hackensack, or you can go up to us. We're at One Bergen Plaza in Hackensack, and they're there at 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every 7 days a week, Kath.
To apply to FEMA if this is what they're going to come in my house.
Kath,
Right.
all you have to do is ask, because they will get the answers. You're right. You're right.
That's why I say the local municipality has done a tremendous job. All the first responders, the police, the fire, and the volunteers who came forward have done a tremendous effort. But now we're stuck with the cleanup. Now we have the after effects. Now we've got an issue that's been a serious one and getting worse. And who knows when this next flood's going to come? What, next week? 2 weeks from now? We don't know. None of us know. So I just, again, I don't have a solution. I'm just trying to speak up, as we all are here locally, on behalf of all the residents who've been affected by this flood and all the floods in the past. So this is a starting point, folks. So let's start from this. Let's stay organized. Let's stay in touch. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, reach out to our municipal offices here, reach out to my office at the Department of Public Affairs, the Health Department. We also have our Health Administrator, Joyce Jacobson, here as well, who could have a tremendous amount of information available to any to help answer your questions. But I also know that Senator Sarlo, Assemblyman Schaer, and County Executive Kathe, Donovan mean what they say. They will make themselves available to help everybody as much as possible. But now what our next job is to put this and hand it up to our federal representatives and say, guys, we're doing everything we can do. You have to help. You're the ones with the deep pockets. You're the ones who can control the printing presses. Let's start helping average people once and for all. And then let's take it from there. So, does anybody else have any other questions at this point? Yes, sir.
I just
Mr.
want to
Mitchell.
emphasize what Assemblyman Schaer said about getting FEMA down here.
Excellent idea.
If we go up here separately, we're all going to get different answers.
No, and I think it's an
As
excellent.
we talk amongst each other, everybody's confused about what's going down. If we get one voice down here to answer everybody's question on the same line,
Yep.
we'll understand that better. We may be able to proceed in recovering from this. But some people haven't heard from FEMA. Some people have gotten some monies. Some people haven't had an insurance representative yet. We need FEMA here because they represent the insurance and the recovery. Let's get them down here so we answer all the questions at one time.
Well, Commissioner DiMaggio just said to me that we can use the senior building at any time for a community forum to have FEMA come and meet with everybody. It's a big enough building. We have plenty of room. And I'm sure at that point, too, we plan that well with enough advance warning. I'm sure Congressman Rothman would be there as well as other federal representatives. Definitely, Mr. Mitchell. Certainly, we know that you've suffered more than anyone after 3 times your complete house. So you have our heart is with you and your family.